What's the craziest thing you've seen a parent do to protect their child? I found this babysitting gig through this neighborhood app. The family seemed nice enough from our initial convo. Mom named Christine, dad named Bob, and their 8-year-old daughter Jade. From the moment I walked into their house, I could tell something was off. Like, they had cameras everywhere. Not just normal security cameras outside, but like inside too. In the living room, kitchen, hallways. The only places without cameras were the bathrooms and bedrooms. I thought it was weird AF but didn't say anything BC. I figured maybe they'd been robbed before or something. Christine gave me this super detailed tour of the house, showing me all these weird security features. They had this panic button system installed where if you pressed buttons in certain rooms in a specific sequence, it would trigger some kind of alarm. She made me memorize the sequence just in case but wouldn't tell me what the case might be. Red flag TBH. The rules for watching Jade were intense. She wasn't allowed outside at all. Even the backyard was off limits. All curtains and blinds had to stay closed. No answering the door under any circumstances. If someone knocked, I was supposed to text Christine immediately and take Jade to her safe room, which was basically this converted closet with reinforced walls, a small bed, some toys, and a tablet. The weirdest part? I wasn't allowed to post anything about babysitting on social media, not even vague stuff like babysitting tonight. They made me sign this weird contract about confidentiality and privacy. I almost walked out right there, but the pay was literally 30 hour, which was insane for babysitting in our area. Jade was the sweetest kid ever though. Super well behaved, smart, loved to read, but sometimes she'd say the strangest things. Once she asked me if the bad people had found us yet. Another time she told me that her parents said they might have to disappear again soon. When I asked what she meant, she just shrugged and went back to her coloring book like it was nothing. One night after I'd been sitting for them for about 2 months, I was putting Jade to bed when she asked me if I knew what her real name was. I laughed it off, but she got super serious and said Jade wasn't her actual name, it was just her now name. She said before they lived here, her name was different and she lived in a different house with different things. She seemed confused about it herself, like she was trying to piece together fragments of memories. The really weird stuff started happening about 3 months in. I showed up one day and all the furniture had been rearranged, like completely different layout. When I asked about it, Christine just said they felt like a change, but seemed super nervous about it. A week later, they'd painted Jade's bedroom a completely different color overnight. They were constantly making these weird, sudden changes to the house. One night I arrived and Christine looked like she'd been crying. She pulled me aside and asked if I'd noticed anyone following me to their house or asking questions about them. I said no, and she made me promise to tell her immediately if I ever did. Then came the night that changed everything. I was reading Jade a bedtime story when we heard a car pulling up outside. Jade immediately tensed up and whispered, "Is that mommy and daddy?" They weren't supposed to be home for hours. I peeked through the blinds and saw a car I didn't recognize. Before I could even process what was happening, Jade jumped up, grabbed my hand, and started pulling me toward her safe room. She knew exactly what to do, like they'd practiced this many times. Once we were inside, Jade reached up to a small panel I'd never noticed before and pressed a sequence of buttons. She grabbed this pre-packed backpack from under her bed and hugged it to her chest, then just sat there in complete silence, staring at the door. She wasn't crying or panicking. She was eerily calm, like this was just routine for her. I texted Christine immediately. Within 30 seconds, my phone rang. It was Bob, and he sounded dead serious. He told me not to make any noise and to stay exactly where we were. He said they were on their way home and had already called the police. Then he asked if I'd locked down the house, and when I explained that Jade had done it, he actually sighed with relief and said, "Good girl." We sat in that tiny room for almost 20 minutes. Jade didn't say a word the entire time, just clutched her backpack and occasionally glanced at me with these big, solemn eyes. I tried asking her what was happening, but she just shook her head. I could hear someone moving around outside the house, trying doors and windows. The police showed up before Christine and Bob did, and I heard shouting, then nothing. When Bob finally opened the safe room door, he looked like he'd aged 10 years in one night. The police were in the living room, and there was an officer taking something from their front yard. Bob thanked me for keeping Jade safe, handed me $500 in cash, and asked if I could please not come back again. Just like that, I was fired.